The rain hammered against the broken windows of the old factory building as Jiho squeezed through a gap in the fence. His friends had dared him to explore the abandoned industrial area on the edge of Seoul, but now he was starting to regret it. The place gave him the creeps with its rusted machinery and graffiti-covered walls. A strange blue light flickered from somewhere deeper inside the building. Jiho's curiosity got the better of his fear as he pulled out his phone's flashlight and crept forward. The light was coming from what looked like a crashed metal pod, about the size of a small car, embedded in the concrete floor. Steam hissed from cracks in its surface. "What the heck is that thing?" Jiho whispered to himself. Suddenly the pod split open with a wet, tearing sound. Jiho nearly dropped his phone as something crawled out. It definitely wasn't human. The creature had grayish-blue skin, 4 arms, and stood about as tall as his dad. Blood that looked more purple than red dripped from several wounds across its body. The alien thing looked up at Jiho with large, dark eyes and made sounds that reminded him of his cat trying to cough up a hairball. It was clearly trying to communicate, but Jiho couldn't understand a single noise it made. Hi there," Jiho said, taking a step back. "Are you okay? You look pretty beat up." The alien pointed at itself and made more strange noises, then pointed at Jiho. It was definitely trying to talk. Jiho remembered the translation app his English teacher had made them download for homework. He fumbled with his tablet, switching, on and opening the app. "Okay, let's try this," he muttered, holding the tablet toward the alien. "Can you repeat what you just said?" The alien spoke again, its voice sounding like a mix of clicking and humming. The app struggled for a moment, then displayed some text. "I am Veltar Courier, need help, hurt." Jiho's eyes widened. "No way, this actually works." He spoke into the tablet. "I'm Jiho, you're really hurt. What happened to you?" The app translated his words into the same clicking sounds, and Veltar's face seemed to brighten with relief. He responded and the tablet translated. "Ship damaged, enemies chase, hide here, you small human child, why you help?" "Because you need help, and my mom always says we should help people who are hurt," Jiho replied, then paused. "Well, I guess you're not exactly people, but you get what I mean." Veltar tried to stand but collapsed back down with a pained sound. Purple blood was still leaking from a nasty gash on his side. Jiho looked around the abandoned factory and spotted an old first aid kit hanging on a dusty wall. Most of the supplies were probably useless by now, but there might be something. "Hold on, let me see what I can find," Jiho said, grabbing the kit. Inside were some old bandages and antiseptic wipes that hadn't completely dried out. "I don't know if this stuff will work on aliens, but it's better than nothing." As Jiho carefully cleaned Veltar's wounds, the alien watched him with what seemed like amazement. Through the tablet, Veltar said, "Most species fear unknown. You are brave for small one." "I'm not that brave," Jiho replied, wrapping a bandage around Veltar's arm. "I'm actually pretty scared right now. But my grandma always told me that being brave doesn't mean you're not scared. It means you do the right thing even when you're scared." Just then, they heard the sound of vehicles approaching outside. Jiho's phone buzzed with an incoming call from his brother. "Oh no, I'm so dead," he muttered, answering quickly. "Hey Minho, I can explain everything." "Jiho, where are you?" "Mom's worried sick. You were supposed to be home an hour ago." Minho's voice came through clearly. As a police officer, he had that stern tone that always made Jiho feel guilty. "I'm at the old factory district, and you're not going to believe this." "But I found an alien," Jiho whispered, glancing at Veltar, who was still bleeding on the floor. "Very funny, little brother. Stop joking around and get home now. I'm serious, he crashed here in some kind of space pod. His name is Veltar, and he's hurt really bad." Jiho held up his tablet so Minho could hear the alien's clicking sounds through the phone. There was silence on the other end. Then Minho sighed. "Jiho, if this is some elaborate prank with your friends, I swear I'll ground you for a month. It's not a prank. Just come here and see for yourself." Building 7 in the Dongdaemun industrial area. 20 minutes later, Minho arrived with his police partner. Jiho heard their footsteps echoing through the empty building. "Over here," he called out. When Minho saw Veltar, his jaw dropped. His partner actually stumbled backward and reached for his radio before Minho stopped him. "Nobody's going to believe this," Minho whispered. "Told you so," Jiho said smugly. He's been teaching me some of his language. Watch this. He spoke to Veltar using the tablet, asking him to show them his injured arm. Veltar lifted his arm, revealing the strange purple blood and the bandage Jiho had applied. Minho knelt down cautiously. This is real. This is actually real. We need to get him to a hospital, Jiho said. No hospitals, Veltar spoke through the tablet. Enemies come. Soon they track ship, find me, kill you too. What enemies? Minho asked, his police instincts kicking in. Before Veltar could answer, they heard the low hum of vehicles approaching fast, not regular cars, but something that sounded more like military vehicles. Through the broken windows, they could see bright searchlights sweeping the area. We need to move now, Minho said, helping Veltar to his feet. There's a maintenance tunnel that connects to the subway system about 2 blocks from here. They slipped out through a back exit, just as armed figures in black tactical gear stormed the building. These weren't Korean police or military. They moved too smoothly, almost robotically, and their equipment looked nothing like anything Jiho had seen before. This way, Minho whispered, leading them through narrow alleyways. Veltar was struggling to keep up, leaning heavily on both brothers. They reached a manhole cover behind a convenience store. Minho used his police tools to pry it open. Down we go. The tunnel connects to Dongdaemun Station. The underground tunnels were dark and smelled terrible, but they provided perfect cover. Jiho used his phone's flashlight to guide them while Minho supported Veltar. Behind them they could hear voices shouting in what sounded like multiple languages. They're following us, Jiho said nervously. Not if I can help it, Minho replied. He led them through a maze of maintenance passages that only someone with his police training would know about. These tunnels connect to the whole subway system. We can come up anywhere in the city. As they walked, Veltar explained through the tablet that his pursuers were part of something called the Syndicate, criminals who would stop at nothing to get what he was carrying. What exactly are you carrying? Minho asked. Information that could save your world, Veltar replied. After 2 hours of navigating through Seoul's underground maze, they finally emerged near Gangnam Station. Minho checked his watch and pulled out his phone. Hana should still be at her office. She works late every night on her tech projects. You think she'll believe us? Jiho asked, looking around nervously for any sign of their pursuers. If anyone will, it's our sister. Remember when she built that robot for her college project? Everyone thought she was crazy until it actually worked. They walked 3 blocks to a modern glass building where Hana ran her small tech startup. Even at 10 o'clock at night, the lights were still on in her 3rd-floor office. Minho used his keycard that Hana had given him for emergencies. Hana, we need your help, Minho called as they entered the cluttered office filled with computers, circuit boards and half-finished inventions. Hana looked up from her multiple computer screens, her hair tied in a messy bun and wearing the same clothes she'd probably had on for 2 days. What's wrong? And why does Jiho look like he crawled through a sewer? She paused when she saw Veltar limping behind them. And who's your friend with the interesting skin condition? He's an alien, Jiho said matter-of-factly. Hana stared for a moment, then laughed. Okay, very funny. Is this some kind of elaborate cosplay? The makeup work is incredible. Veltar spoke directly to one of her computers in his clicking language. Instantly, text appeared on her screen without anyone touching the keyboard. Hana's laughter died as she watched lines of code she'd never seen before scrolling across her monitor. How did you do that? She whispered. He's interfacing directly. With your computer somehow, Minho explained. Hana, everything Jiho told you is true. This is Veltar and he's being hunted by some kind of space criminals. Hana approached slowly, her scientific curiosity overcoming her shock. This is impossible. This is absolutely impossible, but it's happening right in front of me. She turned to Veltar. Can you show me what you're carrying that's so important? Veltar touched a device on his belt, and suddenly all of Hana's screens filled with data. Images of spaceships, star maps, and what looked like battle footage played across her monitors. These are Earth ships, Hana said, her voice barely above. A whisper. But we don't have technology like this. When were these videos taken? Through Jiho's tablet, Veltar explained. Your people sent colony ships to distant stars 20 years ago. Secret government project. These ships were attacked and destroyed. Syndicate responsible. They steal resources from inhabited worlds. Hana's fingers flew across her keyboard, analyzing the data. The technology signatures match theoretical designs from our aerospace programs, but this is way more advanced than anything we've publicly developed. She looked up at her brothers. If this is real, it means our government has been lying to us about our space capabilities. It gets worse, Veltar continued. Earth is next target. Syndicate wants rare minerals from your planet. They cause natural disasters to extract resources. Before anyone could respond, they heard vehicles screeching to a halt outside the building. Through the window they could see men in dark suits getting out of black cars. These weren't the same tactical teams from before. These looked like government agents. They found us, Minho said grimly. Hana was already moving, grabbing portable hard drives and stuffing them into a backpack. Emergency exit through the roof. I always have an escape plan. She uploaded Veltar's data to multiple cloud servers. Whatever happens, this information is now backed up everywhere. Heavy footsteps echoed in the stairwell as the agents made their way up. The group climbed through a maintenance hatch onto the roof just as their pursuers kicked down the office. Door. I know a place where we can hide, Hana said, as they climbed down a fire escape ladder on the back of the building. There's this guy named Dongwu who helps people when the government goes after them. He's got a secret place underground. They walked through back alleys for 30 minutes, constantly looking over their shoulders. Veltar was getting weaker, and his purple blood was starting to seep through the makeshift bandages again. Finally, Hana stopped at what looked like an abandoned convenience store and knocked on the back door in a specific pattern. A young man with thick glasses and multiple piercings opened the door. Hana, what are you doing here so late? His eyes widened when he saw Veltar. And what happened to your friend? He looks really sick. Dongwu, we need your help. This is going to sound crazy, but he's an alien, and some very dangerous people are chasing us. Dongwu stared at Veltar for a long moment. You know what? After everything I've seen the government cover up, nothing surprises me anymore. Come on in. He led them through the fake storefront and down a hidden staircase into a basement filled with computer equipment. The walls were lined with servers and multiple screens showed news feeds from around the world. This is my safe house, Dongwu explained. I help journalists and activists when corrupt officials try to silence them. The place is completely off the grid. Veltar collapsed into a chair, breathing heavily. His communication device was flickering and making weak sounds. His translator is dying, Jiho observed. Without it, we can't understand each other. Let me take a look, Hana said. But when she examined the device, she shook her head. This technology is way beyond anything I've seen. I don't even know where to start. Jiho knelt down next to Veltar and studied the device carefully. While his sister was brilliant with complex programming, Jiho had always been good at fixing things by just looking at how they worked. The blue parts are glowing, but the red parts aren't. Maybe the red parts need power. He noticed that Veltar's belt had other devices on it. One of them had the same red components. What if we connect this one to that one? He suggested, pointing at the devices. Jiho, don't touch alien technology, Minho warned. You could break it or hurt yourself. But Jiho had already carefully removed both devices and was examining where they might connect. He found two pieces that fit together like puzzle pieces. When he connected them, the translator immediately began glowing brighter. How did you know to do that? Veltar asked, his voice coming through clearly now. I fix things all the time, Jiho shrugged. My Nintendo, my bike, my mom's phone. Things usually break in simple ways, even if they look complicated. Dongwu was impressed. The kid's got a point. Sometimes the simplest solution is the right one. He turned to his computers. Now, let's see what information you brought us. As Veltar shared his data with Dongwu's secure servers, disturbing patterns began to emerge. The hacker's face grew more serious with each piece of information he uncovered. This is worse than I thought, Dongwu said. According to this data, the syndicate has people in governments all over the world. Look at this list of names. The screen showed officials from Korea, Japan, America, and Europe. Some of them were people they recognized from the news. These people are supposed to protect us, Minho said angrily. How could they work with aliens who want to destroy our planet? Money, Dongwu replied grimly. The syndicate probably offered them wealth and power in exchange for helping them strip mine Earth. Veltar nodded sadly. Happens on many worlds. Some people choose personal gain over survival of their species. Suddenly, alarms started going off on Dongwu's computers. They've tracked our internet activity, Dongwu said, his fingers flying across the keyboard as warning messages flashed on his screens. We need to move again, and this time we need somewhere completely analog, no digital footprint at all. Minho looked at his siblings. There's only one place I can think of. Grandma. Somin's house in Bukchon. She doesn't even have Wi-Fi, and she's always saying the old ways are sometimes the best ways. Grandma's going to freak out when she sees an alien, Jiho said nervously. Actually, she might be the only person who won't, Hana replied. Remember, all her stories about the weird things she saw during the war? She always said there was more to the world than what people wanted to admit. They made their way through Seoul's traditional neighborhood, using small streets and avoiding main roads. Grandma Somin's Hanok house sat tucked between newer buildings, looking like a piece of history that refused to disappear. When they knocked on her door at 2 in the morning, she opened it immediately, as if she'd been expecting them. At 78 years old, she still moved like someone ready for trouble. "Why are you children sneaking around in the middle of the night?" she asked, then noticed Veltar leaning heavily on Minho. "And who is your injured friend?" "Grandma, this is going to sound impossible, but he's from outer space," Jiho said. Somin looked at Veltar carefully, taking in his forearms, blue-gray skin, and unusual features. "During the war, I saw many things that people said were impossible. Come, inside all of you." She led them to her traditional sitting room and immediately began preparing tea. "Tell me everything," she said simply. As they explained the situation, Somin listened without interruption. When they finished, she nodded thoughtfully. "So these syndicate criminals think they can attack our world because they believe humans are weak and divided. They're about to learn they're wrong. But Grandma, what can we do? They have advanced technology and people in the government helping them," Hana said. "Child, during the war the enemy had better weapons, more soldiers, and traitors helping them too. But they made one mistake. They underestimated what happens when ordinary people decide to fight back." Somin's eyes grew sharp. "Tell me, what do these aliens need most to succeed?" Veltar answered through his translator. "They need secrecy. If people of Earth knew truth, they would resist. Syndicate power comes from shadows." "Exactly," Somin smiled. "Then we bring them into the light. But first, we need allies, people we can trust completely." She picked up her old rotary phone. "I'm calling Taeyang." 20 minutes later, a sturdy man in his 50s arrived. Taeyang had been Somin's neighbor for years and worked at the military communications center. He'd always treated her like a second mother after his own parents died. "What's the emergency, Aunt Somin?" he asked, then stopped when he saw Veltar. Unlike everyone else, he didn't seem shocked. "Military's been getting strange reports all night. Unauthorized aircraft, missing personnel, communication blackouts. This explains a lot." Somin showed him the evidence on Hana's laptop. Taeyang studied the data with a professional eye. "These attack patterns on the colony ships match classified reports I've seen. Command told us they were training exercises. But now?" He looked up grimly. "How many people in our own military are compromised?" "That's what we need to find out," Somin said. "But carefully. If we expose ourselves too early, they'll eliminate us before we can warn anyone." "Grandma, how do we fight something this big?" Jiho asked. "The same way we always have, child. One person at a time, one truth at a time. Your alien friend is right. Their power comes from secrecy. Our power comes from family, friendship, and people who refuse to give up." She looked around the room. "We start small with people we trust. Then we grow." While Taeyang worked his military contacts to identify trustworthy personnel, Hana dove deeper into Veltar's data core. What she found made her stomach turn cold. "Everyone needs to see this," she said, connecting her laptop to Grandma Somin's old television. "The Syndicate isn't just planning to attack Earth. They've already been attacking us for years. the screen filled with a detailed map showing earthquake locations. Around the world over the past decade, red dots marked each major disaster, from the 2011 tsunami in Japan to recent earthquakes in Turkey, Nepal, and California. These look like normal earthquake patterns, Minho said, studying the map. That's exactly what they want you to think. Veltar explained through his translator. Syndicate uses technology to trigger natural disasters, makes extraction look accidental. No one suspects alien involvement. Hana overlaid another map showing global mineral deposits. The pattern was unmistakable. Every major earthquake had occurred directly over areas rich in rare elements needed for advanced technology. This can't be a coincidence, Jiho said, pointing at the screen. Look, the earthquakes happen. People die and then mining companies move in to help with reconstruction, but they're really there to steal our resources. Grandma Somin picked up her phone again. I know someone who can confirm this. Jiwon studies earthquakes at Seoul National University. She's been saying for years that recent earthquake patterns don't make natural sense. An hour later, Dr. Jiwon arrived looking exhausted and worried. She was a woman in her 40s who had spent her career trying to predict earthquakes to save lives. When she saw the data on the screen, her face went pale. I've been tracking these patterns for 5 years, she said, her voice shaking. The earthquake signatures are all wrong. They're too precise, too focused. Real earthquakes spread energy randomly, but these concentrate force in specific areas. She pulled out her own tablet and showed them seismic readings. Look at this data from the Turkey earthquake last year. The energy pattern shows 3 distinct pulses, like something was drilling into the Earth's crust before the main quake hit. You tried to publish this research, Taiyang asked. I tried. My papers were rejected. My funding was cut. I was told I was seeing patterns that didn't exist. Jiwon looked at Veltar with a mixture of fear and vindication. But I wasn't crazy. Something really was causing these disasters. Veltar accessed more files from his data core. Syndicate has done this on 47 worlds, always same pattern. Trigger disasters. Harvest resources while population recovers. Leave planets stripped and dying. How long do we have? Somin asked quietly. Next target is southern Korea, Veltar replied. Busan fault line, rich in lithium and rare earth elements, scheduled for next week. The room fell silent. Busan was home to over 3 million people. If the Syndicate triggered a major earthquake there, the death toll would be catastrophic. We have to warn people, Jiho said. We have to evacuate the city. Who's going to believe us? Minho asked practically. If we go public with this story, they'll say we're crazy. Meanwhile, the Syndicate's people in the government will make us disappear. Jiwon was studying the seismic data more carefully. Wait, if they're using artificial means to trigger these earthquakes, there should be equipment. Big equipment. You can't just push a button and make the earth move. They need drilling rigs, energy projection devices, something massive. Can you track where they might put this equipment? Hana asked. Give me access to all the geological surveys of the Busan area. If they're planning to trigger a fault line earthquake, I can narrow down the most likely locations for their operation. Taiyang stood up. I'll contact my most trusted people in the military. We need boots on the ground to scout these locations. And I'll prepare emergency broadcasts, Dongwu said. If we can find their equipment, we can expose everything at once. As the group split up to handle their tasks, Jiho noticed Veltar was getting weaker again. The alien courier had been running on determination alone, but his injuries were catching up with him. We're going to stop them, Jiho told him confidently. Humans are really good at protecting our Dr. Jiwon's analysis pointed to 3 possible locations where the Syndicate could set up their earthquake-triggering equipment. The most likely spot was an abandoned industrial complex, 20 kilometers, outside Busan, directly over the fault line. We have less than 48 hours, Taeyang reported, after speaking with his military contacts. Satellite imagery shows unusual activity at that location. Heavy machinery moving in at night, but it's not showing up on any official construction permits. Jiho had been unusually quiet, staring at his phone. Finally, he looked up at the group. I have an idea, but you're all going to think I'm crazy. After everything we've been through, nothing sounds crazy anymore, Grandma Somin said. My best friend Kyung is really popular on social media. Like, really popular. He has over 2 million followers across all his platforms. What if we could get people to evacuate Busan without telling them the real reason? How would that work? Hana asked. Jiho's fingers were already flying across his phone screen. Kyung loves doing challenges and pranks. What if we convinced him to start a trend about everyone in Busan taking a weekend trip somewhere else? Like a massive flash mob vacation. That's actually brilliant, Dongwoo said. Social media can spread information faster than any government warning system. Within an hour, Kyung arrived at Grandma Somin's house. He was 17, always perfectly styled, and normally spent his time making videos about fashion and food. When he saw Veltar, he nearly dropped his phone. Jiho, please tell me this is some kind of next-level special effects for a video, Kyung said, but his voice suggested he already knew the truth. It's real, and we need your help to save 3 million people, Jiho explained quickly. You don't have to believe the alien part, but you have to trust me about the earthquake part. Kyung looked at Dr. Jiwon's data on Hana's laptop. As someone who created content about everything, he'd picked up enough knowledge to understand the basics. These seismic readings really do look weird. And you're saying there's going to be a massive earthquake in Busan this weekend? We're certain, Jiwon confirmed. Whether it's natural or artificial doesn't matter for your followers. The danger is real. Kyung was already brainstorming. Okay, I can work with this. I'll call it the Busan Break Challenge. Everyone in Busan has to leave the city for the weekend and post videos of themselves somewhere else. I'll make it seem like a fun competition. Can you really get that many people to participate? Minho asked skeptically. Watch me, Kyung said, setting up his camera. I'm going to call in favors from every influencer I know. We'll make leaving Busan the coolest thing you can do this weekend. While Kyung worked his social media magic, Taeyang organized a small team of trusted military personnel to investigate the industrial site. Hana and Dongwoo prepared to hack into the syndicate's communication networks the moment they found the equipment. I'm going with the reconnaissance team, Jiho announced. Absolutely not, Minho said immediately. I'm the only one who understands how Veltar's equipment works, Jiho argued. If we find their machines, you'll need someone who can figure out how to stop them. Veltar, who had been resting quietly, spoke up weakly. Boy is right. Syndicate technology is similar to my people's. He has shown ability to understand alien machines. Grandma Somin looked at her youngest grandson thoughtfully. During the war, sometimes the most important jobs went to the youngest people because they could see solutions that adults missed. By evening, Kyung's Busan Break Challenge was trending nationwide. Videos poured in of families packing cars, friends planning sudden camping trips, and young people organizing impromptu getaways. The hashtag was spreading to other cities as people wanted to join the fun. It's working, Kyung reported excitedly. Transportation out of Busan is completely booked. Hotels in nearby cities are filling up. Even people who don't usually follow social media trends are hearing about it and deciding to leave town. How many people do you think will actually leave? Dr. Jiwon asked. At this rate, maybe half the city. It's not perfect, but it's better than nothing, Kyung replied, then looked serious. Jiho, I don't fully understand what's happening, but I trust you. Just promise me you'll be careful tonight. As darkness fell, the reconnaissance team prepared to move out. Jiho checked Veltar's communication device one more time, making sure it was working properly. Whatever they found at that industrial site, they would only get one chance to stop it. The abandoned industrial complex looked eerily quiet from the outside, but underground activity was clearly happening. Strange vibrations came from beneath the concrete, and several buildings showed signs of recent heavy machinery movement. Taeyang's team consisted of himself, Minho, Jiho, and 3 trusted soldiers. They also brought along Sunho, a city maintenance worker who knew every tunnel, pipe, and electrical system in the Busan area. The main drilling operation is definitely underground, Sunho whispered as they approached through a drainage tunnel. I can feel the vibrations through the water pipes. Whatever they're doing, it's big. They entered through an old maintenance shaft that Sunho knew would be unguarded. The tunnel led directly under the industrial complex, where they could hear the hum of massive machinery. There, Jiho pointed through a grate. Below them was a vast underground chamber filled with equipment that looked like nothing humans had ever built. Towering drill assemblies with crystalline components were boring deep into the earth, while energy collectors gathered power from some unknown source. "How many workers?" Taiyang asked, counting the figures moving around the machinery. "About 20, but half of them don't look human," Minho observed. "Some are definitely aliens, probably syndicate members. The others," he squinted, "I think they're humans, but they're moving weird, like robots." Veltar's communication device translated some of the sounds coming from the chamber. "Mind control implants," he explained weakly. "Syndicate uses them on species that resist cooperation." "So those humans down there aren't willing traitors," Jiho said. "They're prisoners." The drilling operation was nearly complete. According to the displays they could see, the earthquake trigger would activate in less than 2 hours. Even with Kyung's evacuation efforts, hundreds of thousands of people would still be in danger. "We need to shut down their power source," one of Taiyang's soldiers said. "But that equipment is way beyond our technology level." Jiho studied the setup carefully. While the drilling machines looked alien, they were connected to the local power grid through massive cables. "Sunho, where does all the electricity for this area come from?" "Main power substation is about half a kilometer that way," Sunho replied, pointing east. "But if we shut that down, it'll black out half of Busan." "Better than an earthquake killing everyone," Jiho said. "But wait, look at this." He pointed to where the alien drilling equipment connected to human infrastructure. "They're using our own power systems to run their machines. What if instead of cutting the power, we reverse it?" "Reverse it how?" Taiyang asked. "Sunho," you said. "You know all the city systems. Is there a way to send power backward through those cables? Like instead of the power plant sending electricity to them, we make their machines send power back." Sunho's eyes lit up with understanding. "The old subway construction site has a massive backup generator system. If we could connect that to the grid and reverse the flow." He paused, thinking. "It's crazy enough that it might work." While Taeyang's soldiers created a distraction to draw the syndicate guards away from the drilling site, Jiho and Sunho made their way to the abandoned subway construction area. The backup generators were still functional, designed to power massive excavation equipment. "I've never tried anything this insane," Sunho admitted, as he worked to reroute the electrical connections. "If this backfires, we could fry every electronic device in the city." "If we don't try, the city gets destroyed anyway," Jiho replied, using his understanding of alien technology to help Sunho figure out which connections would work. They managed to reverse the power flow just as the syndicate's drilling operation reached critical depth. Instead of drawing power to trigger the earthquake, their machines suddenly began feeding massive amounts of electrical energy back into themselves. The alien equipment, not designed to handle reverse power flow, began overloading spectacularly. Explosions echoed through the underground chamber as the crystalline components shattered and the drilling apparatus collapsed. "It worked!" Sunho shouted over the noise of failing machinery, but their celebration was short-lived. Syndicate reinforcements were arriving, and they looked very angry. The syndicate forces were closing in when the sky above Busan suddenly filled with ships that made Veltar's small courier vessel look like a toy. Massive crystalline structures descended through the clouds, their surfaces gleaming with lights that seemed to bend reality itself. "Galactic Council Fleet," Veltar said through his translator, his voice filled with relief. "My emergency beacon finally reached them." The syndicate aliens immediately stopped their attack and tried to flee, but it was too late. Energy beams from the council ships disabled their equipment and transport vehicles without harming any humans in the area. Within minutes, beings from a dozen different species materialized in the underground chamber. The lead figure was tall and elegant, with silver skin and 6 arms, wearing robes that seemed to shift color as they moved. "I am Council Speaker Zarthe," the being announced, their words somehow understandable to everyone present. "We have come in response to Courier Veltar's distress signal. We apologize for our delayed arrival." "You're just in time," Jiho said, helping Veltar to his feet. "We stopped their earthquake machine, but there are probably more sites around the world." Speaker Zarthe studied the destroyed drilling equipment with obvious amazement. "You used your planet's own infrastructure To defeat syndicate technology? Fascinating. In 400 years of council operations, we have never seen such an approach. Taeyang stepped forward. What happens now? Are we safe from future attacks? The syndicate cell operating in this system has been captured, the speaker replied. However, your planet faces a larger decision. Earth has been exposed to galactic civilization. You cannot return to isolation. Over the following hours, more council representatives arrived. They interviewed everyone involved in stopping the syndicate plot, from Grandma Somin to Kyung, who live-streamed the entire First Contact experience to his millions of followers. The human response to this crisis has been remarkable, Speaker Zarthe told the assembled group. Most species, when first encountering galactic threats, either panic completely or submit to superior technology. Humans chose a third option, adaptation and resistance. Dr. Jiwon presented her earthquake research to council scientists, who confirmed that the syndicate had been manipulating Earth's geology for over a decade. The mining operations disguised as disaster relief had stolen resources worth trillions. In galactic currency, we will return what can be returned, the speaker assured them, but more importantly, we must address Earth's future status. Veltar, now recovered thanks to council medical technology, spoke to the assembly. I recommend full alliance membership for humanity. This species demonstrates problem-solving abilities that exceed their technological development. The child Jiho showed understanding of alien systems that our own engineers found impressive. That's quite an endorsement, Speaker Zarthe said, looking at Jiho with interest. Tell me, young human, how did you know to reverse the power flow? Jiho shrugged, suddenly feeling shy with so many alien dignitaries watching him. Things usually work the same way, even if they look different. If something needs power to work, then too much power will break it. And if bad guys are using our own stuff against us, we can probably use it against them too. The council members exchanged what seemed like impressed glances. Simple logic applied creatively. This is exactly the kind of thinking the Alliance needs. Speaker Zarthe made the formal announcement. By council authority, Earth is granted protected world status immediately. Additionally, we extend an invitation for humanity to join the Galactic Alliance as full members. What does that mean for us? Minho asked. Access to galactic technology, trade networks, and most importantly, protection from species like the Syndicate, the speaker explained. In return, Earth would contribute to Alliance defense and exploration efforts. Kyung, still recording, couldn't help but ask, does this mean we get spaceships? The council speaker's expression suggested amusement. Eventually, yes. But first, your species needs time to adjust to galactic civilization. We propose a gradual integration program. As the official ceremonies concluded, Veltar approached Jiho privately. I will be staying on Earth as a cultural liaison. Would you like to learn more about galactic technology? Jiho grinned. Can you teach me how to fix spaceships? I think, Veltar replied, you will be teaching us more than we teach you. In the months that followed, Earth began its integration into galactic society. Jiho became the youngest human ever accepted into the Alliance engineering program, while his family helped establish Earth's first interspecies cooperation center. And sometimes late at night, Jiho would look up at the stars and smile, knowing that humans had earned their place among them not through superior technology or ancient wisdom, but through simple determination to protect their home and help their friends home.